Good morning. We're going to start the final essay for Romeo and Juliet, so I want to spend a few minutes introducing it. It should come as familiar because it's based on work you've already done for the Wanted poster. And then I'll explain the assignment for today, and finally, what you need to do to earn attendance for the day. So, here's the essay assignment sheet. And if you open that up, you can review it today, but I'm going to have you focus on one specific task. So we already have looked at the idea of blame in creating the Wanted poster. So who is to blame? Romeo and Juliet is definitely a tragedy. However, there's a lot of disagreement about who or what is to blame. Throughout the play, the audience sees characters making decisions, sometimes for the best of reasons, that lead to unfortunate outcomes. Your first and most important task is to decide who is most to blame for the tragedy. You may choose to continue working with the character that you chose for your Wanted poster. So, you, in creating the Wanted poster, picked a character who engaged in some actions that you deemed blameworthy, and then you thought about, well, what is the underlying character trait? What is the underlying personality trait or defect, you might even say, that led to the character engaging in that blameworthy action? Because ultimately your argument is based on character traits. For example, Romeo is impulsive, Benvolio is selfish, the prince is short-sighted, the prince is a people pleaser, something of that nature. So your second task is to write a clear and arguable thesis. Well, you've probably already done this for the Wanted poster, and the Wanted poster already includes 2 character traits. Now, you're going to need 3 body paragraphs for this essay, so you will either need a third character trait, or you could consider writing a counterclaim paragraph, which I'll talk a little bit more about when the time comes. But for now, well, let me just return to this here, and then I can explain a little more. So the thesis should express the reasons why the character is blameworthy. You have to think beyond the actions the character took to the character trait responsible for the action. For example, you might blame the prince for banishing Romeo after Romeo killed Tybalt. So think about why he banished Romeo. Remember that his initial law was death to any Capulet or Montague who disturbs the peace again. However, Romeo was only acting in response to Tybalt's violence, which was first disturbing the peace. Perhaps Romeo should not have been punished. However, the prince was trying to compromise and please everyone. By banishing Romeo, he tried to please the Montagues, who wanted Romeo released, and also the Capulets, who wanted Romeo dead. So what blameworthy character trait might you infer about the prince? Perhaps that he was a people pleaser who capitulated or broke or wavered under pressure. So that thesis you should already have for the Wanted poster. You'll need another reason or another trait, so you could return to your brainstorm and find that other trait. But you can refine that later. We're going to focus today on this task, finding the quotes. You should already have 2 quotes from the Wanted poster, but for this essay you're going to need 2 quotes per paragraph. So that means a total of 6 quotes for the essay. Now, if you choose to write the counterclaim paragraph, which I talk about here, you might have 4 quotes that deal with your character's blameworthy actions, and 2 quotes that deal with another character's blameworthy actions that you're citing for the purpose of explaining why they're not as significant or not as blameworthy. So a counterclaim is a paragraph in which somebody explains why they might disagree with your argument. But you're not doing it to be kind. You're not doing it to be generous. You're doing it for the purpose of refuting that counter argument. So the idea is you introduce another argument and you give support for that other argument, but you explain why the support is insufficient or why it doesn't actually prove that the character is more blameworthy. So, like I was saying, you could have 4 quotes in total that deal with your character and blameworthy actions and traits of your character, of which you should already have 2 picked from the Wanted poster. And then you could pick two quotes about why another character might be blameworthy. But remember, in choosing those quotes, your purpose is to explain why those quotes are actually not as blameworthy as the traits that you've discussed with respect to your character. So it's you're introducing them to disprove them. You're choosing them to explain why they don't show that the person is the most blameworthy. If you choose to do a counterclaim, you don't have to do a counterclaim. You could do 3 body paragraphs. Body paragraph 1 is characteristic 1, blameworthy character trait 1. Body paragraph 2 is blameworthy character trait 2. Body paragraph 3 is a third blameworthy character trait. Now remember, you only identified 2 in the wanted poster, so you need to return to your brainstorming and see if you have a third possible character trait that you could seek evidence for. So either you have a total of 6 quotes blaming your character, of which you already have 2, so your job today is to find 4 more quotes that you can use to blame your character, or you're going to find 2 more quotes to blame your character for a total of 4, and then you're going to find 2 quotes that blame another character that you'll use in a counterclaim paragraph for the purpose of explaining why that character isn't actually blameworthy. So the idea is you're going to anticipate what somebody reading your paper might say, and let's say you chose Romeo. That character, the person reading your paper might say, you know what, I actually think it's Juliet who's more blameworthy than Romeo, right? So there's 2 people in the relationship, and that would seem a natural counter argument. Well, find quotes that show Juliet's blameworthy actions, and then your job in the paper will be to explain why those quotes are not as important in dealing with the question of blame as the quotes you've chosen for Romeo, if you're writing about Romeo. You don't need to worry about how it's all going to come together just yet. Worry about identifying the traits, identifying the actions that the character took, thinking about the traits that those actions represent, and returning to the play and finding the quotes, finding the blame worthy quotes. That's what your assignment is for today. That's the piece of it that you're going to tackle today, is going back, finding your quotes, and getting the MLA citation, the parenthetical citation, act, period, scene, period, line number or line numbers, end parenthesis. I gave you an example of it in the directions of the assignment. So it's going to be a 3-body paragraph essay. It's going to have a counterclaim paragraph if you choose. Otherwise, it's 3 body paragraphs about your character. And I put a note here: collect examples of blameworthy actions or words, then identify the character trait responsible for the blameworthy action. You've done this for 2 already in the wanted poster. By identifying the character traits, you'll see how to organize your examples into body paragraphs. Oh, there's an error there. That will tell you, body paragraphs that will tell you what each paragraph is about and let you write. Let me fix this. It seems like there's something a little screwy there. Nonetheless, I gave you just a reminder of what the paragraph structure of an analytical paragraph is. You're not writing paragraphs today. We'll work on this next week. There is a checklist in this document, and then there is a graphic organizer that you might return to eventually. But you don't have to worry about it now. I'm just introducing it here. What you're worrying about today is finding quotes. So I gave you a link to myshakespeare.com. You can navigate this to find the quotes, and it also helps because you can, look at the translations if you need, and you can check out scene summaries if you're not sure where something happened. You have a play menu here, so you could jump around. I think it was in Act 3. I'm not sure which scene, so I'll read the summary and find out. So I find that using this will help you navigate and find your quotes. What else? So what's due by next class? You're going to attach to this assignment link a document with your 6 quotes chosen from the play and their MLA citations, and I say right there it's act, scene, line numbers. I'll give you an example. The quotes should serve as evidence of your character's blameworthy traits that directly contributed to the play's tragic ending. Remember, you already have 2 quotes that you used for the wanted poster. Perhaps there are others that you didn't include that you might return to. Maybe you start by returning to your initial brainstorm and see what you can find See if you can find evidence for additional blameworthy actions or traits that you didn't already pick for the wanted poster. If you find it difficult to pick a total of 6 quotes that demonstrate your chosen character's blame, you might consider writing a counterclaim paragraph for your third body paragraph, which means you could also look for evidence of why another character might also be blamed. But remember, your goal when you analyze that evidence will be to explain why the character is nonetheless not as blameworthy as the character you are arguing deserves the most blame. Okay, so that's the assignment. 6 quotes, not due until we meet again. So that assignment is due by next class. Now, for attendance today, to get credit for showing up, all I need you to do is add a private comment to this lesson plan and tell me which character you're going to blame. And if you're thinking about a counterclaim, you could tell me which character you would consider choosing counterclaim quotes for. So if you're going to blame Romeo, but you also want to write a paragraph that talks about why Juliet is not blameworthy, then you could tell me, claim Romeo, counterclaim Juliet. If you're not going to do a counterclaim, or if you're not sure yet, don't worry about it. Just tell me who you're going to blame. So that'll get you attendance credit. The quotes themselves will be due our next class meeting, which won't be till Wednesday because Monday is a holiday. So you have plenty of time between now and Wednesday to complete that. If you have questions, just type a comment in here, or you can email me. If it's a question that you think everybody might benefit from, drop it in the class comments. And have a great holiday weekend. I'll see you guys next week. We'll have a meeting early in the week.